Initiative that will be growing. We're doing a second event in November this year. Actually, we're going to hold this one down in Melbourne. Obviously, it's a spin-off from Vogue Fashion's Night Out, which is a retail consumer-driven event. 120,000 people we're expecting in the city this September 6th. So we do have many touch points, and I think that's the most interesting thing. When you're on a powerful brand like Vogue, there are so many different ways that you can talk to consumers. Our Facebook fans are growing exponentially, and you know, I recognise the fact that people like what being a friend of Vogue says about them as well. It's that type of brand where it does say something about you to buy Vogue or like Vogue or, you know, follow Vogue on Twitter, and we're very lucky in that respect. And certainly with our Vogue Fashion's Night Out, we've really proven that we can pull a big audience as well. So the feedback has been remarkable. I tweet. I don't tweet personally. I believe that whilst I'm, you know, heading up this brand and working for this brand, if people are following me, they're following me because I'm the editor of Vogue, and so therefore they follow me on the Vogue stream. So that's what we've done with all our staff. The new staff who are coming on board are having contracts that say they work for Vogue the brand, not just Vogue the magazine. And it doesn't matter whether they're Instagramming or tweeting, it's all on Vogue streams. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, at Facebook in particular, we get the most incredible feedback. And I'd forgotten the power of this brand. And obviously, when I worked in it, there was no such thing as social media. So it's been extraordinarily reassuring for me. You know, you ask people who they want to see on the cover, and hundreds of responses later. It's the best market research you could ever ask for.
How adventurous an editor can you be? I'm thinking of things like a magazine like Frankie, a bit of an independent, bit of a reputation as a rule breaker, done quite well. Things like covers without many cover lines, I think like you did on Harper's Bazaar. You game for doing stuff like that?
Yes, definitely. My feeling on single cover lines is it has to be the right image. Some images look naked, and that I do think on a psychological level tells people perhaps that there's not as much value for money. You really need the right image to make a single cover line work. And I've gone back and looked at the stats. Sometimes they work brilliantly, other times they don't. And when you look at when they don't, generally the cover looks a bit apologetic. It doesn't look resolved. So on our subs covers, you will always get a single cover line and probably a less commercial looking image. So I feel if people prefer that style of cover, they can become subscribers and they'll always be delivered that. But we'll certainly take the approach that on the newsstand, if it requires more cover lines, it will have it. If not, then I'm more than willing to go for one.
Just very, very quickly, we're hearing ACP, the launch of Elle is coming next year. Any sense that that may take away some market share at all from you? We've actually, I mean, in preparation for it, I'm launching Miss Vogue as part of vogue.com.au. So Miss Vogue is actually a section within Paris Vogue. I wouldn't say it's teen because it's really early 20s. In Australia, we are sort of looking very much at that rush oyster market and how we can tap into that. That will launch with the website on September 1. It will have online exclusive shoots which you'll be able to shop from, and we hope down the track, obviously, we'll have our own shop front to that end too. There is no reason why that couldn't be rolled out into print if we decide that there is the right and enough revenue there to sustain it, obviously, but also the right market. I feel that Miss Vogue will be a very strong competitor to an Elle if it did come into the market. All right, great to get your insights and very interesting. Thank you so much for talking to us today. Thank you. Edwina McCann, the Editor-in-Chief of Vogue. We are taking a very quick break here on Media Week. After that, a look at the TV ratings battle post the Olympics. Welcome back. Well, DMG Radio has announced a partnership with streaming music company Rdio. For the details, let's return to our co-host James Manning. James, isn't this, you know, tying up with a competitor?
So, yeah, absolutely. But DMG sort of got research which tells them about a third of their listeners use a streaming service anyway. So they thought it looks better to get on board. They'll get possibly some traffic from streaming Rdio users already, and into what sort of and their listeners can investigate new music beyond sort of the stream that the DMG already provides them through Nova. Right,
okay. Just another story in the radio sector this week as well. Reports that 2UE might be wanting to try and win the NRL rights back off
Sure, yeah, I'm not
arch-rival
sure
to
how
TV.
serious they are about it, but they'll definitely get in there and talk about negotiations. And compared to TV rights, radio rights are pretty cheap when it comes to football. So, and I think the NRL will probably take the opportunity. Look, the more the merrier. So they might be able to pick up something at a reasonable price.
All right. Just turning to some other news, and the inaugural Kennedy Awards were held, and who were some of the winners?
Yeah, a few multiple winners there. Kate McClimate from the Sydney Morning Herald was named the Journo of the Year. Ray Hadley was nominated a couple of times, and Paul Bibby from the Herald also got a couple of mentions. And it's an awards that we've had national awards, of course, the News Awards, the Walkleys, but this is sort of New South Wales' own awards because all the other states already have something similar.
All right, just talking again, I guess, about, the rise of digital consumption and ways to kind of, boost revenue streams. The West Australians have got an interesting promotion going at the moment.
Sure, yeah, it's called Click to Bid, and it's a win for all parties, if you like. What happens, advertisers give them some inventory. The newspaper auctions that off on a special website. The advertisers get sort of ad space in return. The newspaper gets the revenue, and readers get to buy cheap goods. So it's sort of a three-way win.
Also, specialist publisher Next Media is going to offer one of its titles as an iPad app. I guess the next one to get on board.
Yeah, their snowboarding magazine. They want to broaden their digital audience, and it's a space we're seeing all magazines getting into. Edwina was just talking about, Vogue getting into that space. So yeah, look, it's not big numbers at the moment, and those numbers are actually audited now. I think Donna Hayes actually got the biggest readership in Australia of downloaded sort of iPad editions. But yeah, you've got to be there, I think, for the future.
Absolutely. Let's just turn now to the TV ratings. We'll have a look at week 32 for free-to-air top 10 first, and this, of course, still dominated by the Olympics.
Yep, all London 2012.
Just turning the page, I think there might be a 9 News Sunday for 9 in there.
Yeah, sure, yeah, but no, it did very well for the games. NBC and BBC, both fantastic figures, and they're the most watched programming ever they've had on air for both those countries.
Right, okay. We might ask you about the closing ceremony in just a moment, but firstly, let's just look through the rest of the figures there. That's the sport top
NRL,
5
AFL
on subscription.
getting up to finals time, not far away.
And looking at the non-sport winners for subscription TV there, Family Guy for Fox 8, and Fox 8 having the top 3 spots.
Movie.
So looking at the London closing ceremony audiences, we were talking about the records for US, UK. How'd it go for 9?
Yeah, not too bad. Again, it was a weird time slot, so they showed it live in the morning. Did about 1 million people, which is a pretty big audience for 6 a.m. on a weekday morning, and I think about 800,000 tuned into the replay. Again, it was on reasonably late, didn't finish till after midnight, so it wasn't a bad audience, but it was actually down if you compared it to other games, but there's lots of factors to take into account.
Just an interesting comment from STW Communications this week, warning that the Olympics could have sucked up a lot of the ad money that had been earmarked for later in the year. What do you think?
Yeah, when they reported, they said, look, a lot of people have gone and spent some of their second half allocation on Olympics investment. That could lead to a bit of a tight, between sort of now and Christmas, if you like. A lot of people, or retailers, will go into perhaps December, but otherwise it could be tight for a few media players.
Just looking, I guess, at the post-Olympics ratings battle as well, and a lot of these major shows being rolled out now. Big Brother, it's got lots of media coverage, launched this week. How, have the ratings gone? Did it warrant all the attention?
Yeah, well, the media's been all over it. Started really well, 1.6, dropped to 1.3 on night 2, down to 1.1 on... That's just not a good trend. It's still sort of the #1 program, if you like, after the news bulletins, but their numbers, 9 would like to see them level off, perhaps climb back a little bit, because it's going to be on, I think, 6 nights a week. So they'd certainly want to see that trend improve.
But the sponsors, they've got
sponsors,
KFC,
I think KFC, I think Holden are in there. So they'd be pretty happy to start with. But then again, they'll be watching very, very carefully what happens, especially in week 2.
I've got to ask you about 10 too, because obviously they've got a number of massive series all being rolled out as well, including, well, we've seen Everybody Dance now. How has it been faring? Because obviously there's a lot of press about, well, is it going to last?
Didn't start well at all. Again, hasn't cracked 1 million. It got down to 300,000, I think, for the EPs 2 and 3. 10 have just come out late in the week and announced, look, we're going to scale it back to only once a week, so it'll be just on a Sunday night now. They'll try and regroup, probably re-edit the program. I think they've probably already filmed quite a bit of it, and try and connect with the audience a little bit better.
What about some of the other shows? We've already seen the premiere of Puberty Blues.
Puberty Blues, yep, did pretty well, just under 1 million, but it wasn't similar numbers to what Offspring was attracting, and it's a good demo for the channel, and it's, you know, their sort of flagship show at the moment. So again, we'll see how those figures level out after a couple of weeks, but a pretty good start for it.
And looking at I Will Survive, because it was interesting hearing the 10 sales boss Barry O'Brien talking this week, saying, you know, we need one hit.
Yeah.
Could I Will Survive be it? Or
It could be. It's just, you know, it's really dangerous trying to predict what will work. You know, it could work. Puberty Blues, they'll probably need a hit bigger than Puberty Blues if he's talking about one big show to sort of pull the network back. You know, their Wednesday this week improved a little bit, but it's still really not as competitive with the other networks as they'd like it.
And just finally as well, this is sort of a bugbear for a lot of viewers. You know, they have to wait so long for a series that's been in the US for months to be shown here, but Fox 8's really fast-tracking some new series.
Yeah, some of their Warner Brothers programs out of the States, all the US TV shows start up, their new TV season kicks off about the middle of September, so we'll see a few free-to-air channels picking up some of their new programs too, but Revolution is sort of a sci-fi drama from producer J.J. Abrahams on Fox 8, and another one called I think it's 666 Park Avenue or 666, I don't know what they're going to call it, with the Australian actor Rachel Taylor, so that'll be on too quite soon.
James, as always, thank you so much. James Manning, editor and publisher of Mediaweek. Well, just time before we go to have a quick check on some of those media company reports, and one in particular, carsales.com. Here's Stan Shamu from IG Markets.
The online advertising space continues to outperform the rest of the traditional media plays. We have seen this week a strong result from car sales, which managed to surge through that $6.50 mark, which had topped out earlier on in the week, and it managed to run through to around $7.22, where it is trading now. The company came out with strong earnings on Tuesday. They saw their underlying earnings grow by around 23% to 76.1 million, which was a massive beat of most of the brokers' consensus of about 67 million. So that was quite impressive, a 6% beat of consensus, with a total dividend for the year of about 30.5 cents. So that was quite impressive. It does seem like most of the brokers are impressed with the way the company is managed. The management's continued to grow earnings in the face of a tough consumer environment, and it does seem like that migration to the online advertising space has been working pretty well for the company, and they will continue to be one of the stocks to look out for. They're trading at an all-time high at the moment, and it does seem like the stock will continue to have a pretty good run as the brokers continue to re-rate the stock.
And that's Media Week for this week from the team here. Thanks for your company.